George Orwell, 1903 to 1950. In 1934, Orwell found himself in a typical bind for an aspiring young writer. Despite having published his first book the year before, the generally well-received Down and Out in Paris and London, Orwell couldn't support himself on his writing alone. But the lowly teaching jobs he had been holding left him with little time to write and put him on the margins of literary society. Luckily, Orwell's Aunt Nellie found him an attractive alternative, a part-time assistant job at a London second-hand bookshop. The post at Book Lovers Corner proved an ideal fit for the 31-year-old bachelor. Waking at 7 a.m., Orwell went to open the shop at 8:45 and stayed there for an hour. Then he had free time until 2 p.m. when he would return to the shop and work until 6:30. This left him almost 4.5 hours of writing time in the morning and early afternoon, which conveniently were the times that he was the most mentally alert. And with his writing day behind him, he could happily yawn through the long afternoons in the shop and look forward to some free time in the evening, spent sauntering around the neighborhood, or later, hovering over a new purchase, a small gas stove known as the Bachelor Griller, which could grill, boil, and fry, and that allowed Orwell to modestly entertain guests at his small flat. Oh, hello! I didn't see you guys come in. Welcome to Bitcoin, whatever it's called. Welcome to Bitcoin Talk Show. My name is Thomas Hunt. We were just reading a little bit more of Daily Rituals, How Artists Work. Today we were talking about George Orwell, who had to work in a bookshop in order to get his free time back so that he could write. He wasn't so fortunate as maybe Van Gogh, who was able to focus on being a full-time artist all the time. Got more to read for you this morning. This is a little poem called If by Rudyard Kipling. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too, if you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good, nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken and stoop and build them up with worn out tools, if you can make a heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose and start again at your beginnings, and never breathe a word about your loss, if you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you, except the will that says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son. Good morning, Bitcoin. Welcome to Bitcoin Talk Show. Today is Friday, August 10th, 2018. My name is Thomas Hunt, and here's what's happening today in Bitcoin. Turkish Lira plunges 15% versus the dollar after Trump authorized doubling metal tariffs on Turkey. Complete financial crisis in Turkey as their currency has plunged 15% on the day against the US dollar. Meanwhile, in Bitcoin, the price of Bitcoin was down 133% in the last 24 hours, with a last of 6,000. Everything is ringing. All right, we're going to come back to the ringing in just a second. All right, $6,451 with a high of $6,571 and a low of $6,308. That's $1 for 15,501 Satoshis. Let's give this wheel a spin. Checking out the recent World Coin Index of top 10 altcoins sorted by volume. Ethereum down 1%, Bitcoin Cash down 2%, EOS down 3.75%, Ethereum Classic up 0.5 point, Litecoin even, Ripple down 2.5%, Tron down 2.5%, Dash up 1%, and Qtum rounding out the top 10 down 0.5 point. Looking at the most active distributed applications on DApp Radar, we've got IDEX continuing to lead, Fork Delta with 1654, following behind Fork Delta with 914, down to POWH3D, which is now labeled as high risk with 574 users. 302 users used Bancor, and 207 users used FOMO3D, rounding out the top 10, which are mainly exchanges, gambling, and high risk. Checking Blocktivity.info for the most active blockchains. EOS continues to lead, followed by BitShares, Steem, and Ethereum. Looking at Bitcoin in the number 5 position. The warning light still on Ethereum, still at 100% blockchain capacity. The mempool of Bitcoin, however, looks like it got cleared, and Bitcoin is back to 49.98 capacity. As always, you can support the World Crypto Network by donating to the Bitcoin address on your screen right now, or with Ethereum, Litecoin, Dogecoin, Dash, Vertcoin, and Ethereum Classic, all accepted by Trezor. People are going to keep calling. This new idea to have the phone calls is awful because it rings through to my other stuff for some reason. I'm going to have to figure out how to turn that off. We will open this up to calls, but you got to give me 5 minutes at least to do the news. Thanks so much to our Patreons who are supporting us. 31 patrons are donating $234 a month to support the World Crypto Network. We also had 80 Patreons supporting Mad Bitcoins with $480 a month to keep doing this show. Let's check out our Tallycoin fundraiser, which has recently been updated by DJ Booth. We have 0.02% towards our goal of $1 million. Let's get the QR code up there. We've raised 0.296 Bitcoin toward our goal. Checking it out, thanks so much to recent donor 0.007, who donated on August 7th. We haven't had a donation on Tallycoin in 3 days, but we continue our quest for $1 million to help spread the word about Bitcoin. Let's check out yesterday's comments. Christian Anthony writes, I need a dose of Theo Goodman and for Mad Bitcoins to say, crackdown. Just saying. It's been a while since we've had any regulatory action, or crackdown, as the media calls it. We'll have to see if there's more regulation in the future. Static Boost writes, when is this idiocracy ICOing? I don't know, but Brondo's got what plants crave. Biggs writes, engagement. Mad Bitcoins jokes. Who knew they were Klingons? Tagnar writes, Thomas, what are your thoughts on technocrats? By definition, they are non-elected government bureaucrats, or in the EU, UN, who are immune to the voting process. Well, I think we're talking technocrats more in the bureaucracy sense rather than the technology sense. So I'm not generally in favor of bureaucracy. There are some bureaucracies that need to keep going regardless of administration to keep things rolling, to keep treaties and other things together as countries go through democratic changes, but remain friendly democracies that want to work together. So I don't have any serious thoughts on it one way or the other. I'm always careful here on the internet. I don't want to fall into some conspiracy theory and say something good about technocrats, and I also don't want to fall into some conspiracy theory the other way and say something bad about them. So I'm waiting for you to bring the hammer down. But thanks, Tagnar, for the question, and thanks for everybody for commenting on the show. I think we have a pretty final answer here to our poll question. What kind of world do we live in? 37% said Douglas Adams. We live in a light, fun world. The confusing and awful bureaucracies are more funny and more mistaken than malicious. But 63% of you, an overwhelming majority, believe that we live in the world of Philip K. Dick, a world of darkness and betrayal, where nothing can be trusted, and there's a hidden conspiracy behind everything. Thank you so much for voting in this poll. It was lots of fun. I'll have to think of another great poll for you guys to vote on soon. Also, make sure you give the show a thumbs up. I know it's annoying, you have to click like for every show, but if you click like for every show, we'll get more viewers. If the more viewers click like for every show, we'll have a larger audience, and people will be able to ring me more often in the middle of the show. We're definitely getting calls today because people are just chomping at the bit. They cannot wait to get to Bitcoin Talk Show, and we are on our way there. Cali Crypto writes, how do you pronounce HODL? Is it HODL, HUDL, HODL, or GIFTL, GIFTL, GIFL, GIFL, GIFL? Anyway, great poll. Retweeted this fun stuff from Cali Crypto. We had Blockstream with a pretty major announcement yesterday, improving privacy using pay to endpoint. And they have a new way of using Bitcoin that breaks blockchain analysis tools. That's right. After scaling, the next thing on the Bitcoin roadmap is privacy. Right now, you can use a tool like block analysis or chain analysis, I think it's called, and you can analyze the blockchain. You can see where my money meets your money. You can see where I try to hide my money here, but it really pops out over here. You can connect all of the Bitcoin together, thanks to chain analysis and other companies like this. However, Blockstream has a way to break this. The approach gave the group a more defined goal: to provide a way to ensure that transactions with inputs owned by more than one party are common enough occurrence that the assumptions of the common input ownership heuristic is invalidated. That's right. They're going to mix up the input somehow so that they can't just say, your transaction belongs to you and this transaction belongs to someone else. It sounds amazing. It sounds incredible. Great job, Blockstream. Hope to hear more soon. Meanwhile, we've got nothing but FUD. Game over. Wall Street analyst says Bitcoin must not breach year-to-date support. Renaissance Macro's Research's head of technical research, Jeff DeGraaf, concluded that it may be game over for Bitcoin. In a note to clients, DeGraaf, who had received multiple accolades for his trading insights in the past 20 years, the past does not predict the future, claimed that Bitcoin's price movement suggested the largest cryptocurrency is permanently impaired. DeGraaf writes that parabolic moves are notorious dangerous for short sellers, adding that a top normally develops with the appearance of a descending triangle over months, with reduced volatility and little fanfare. Once the top is complete on the support violation, the security in question can often be considered permanently impaired or even game over. We are, of course, referencing Bitcoin as Exhibit A in today's market. As they say in the chat, sounds iffy. Could Bitcoin fall to $4,000 in the coming weeks? Bitcoin prices have suffered weakness. Bitcoin is dump mode following the pump run on the potential for a US ETF, said Bloomberg intelligence analyst Mike McGlone in a recent interview. It may not subside until revisiting good support near $4,000, last year's mean. This possibility could very well materialize, according to a handful of market analysts. Bitcoin is still a total disaster. There's one thing that a currency is supposed to do that Bitcoin never has: give us a chance. That's maintain stable value. It's brand new, you morons. Indeed, as investment analyst Eddie Effelbein points out, Bitcoin has gone through 4 bear markets in 2018 alone. Maybe it's not a bear market. Maybe it's a brand new asset. We've never done anything like this before. Without a historical example, you're kind of lost there, aren't you? Something totally new like the internet or the MP3 or streaming video or Bitcoin happens. And you kind of say, I don't think this will be a big thing. I think we could wait till this blows over. It's going to be fine. It's not a good currency because it's brand new and the value goes up and down. Bitcoin looks very sick and the pain is not yet over, says analyst. Probably the same guy. Let's see. Johnny Zedens of Cracked Market, Friday morning. That must be a spin-off of like Mad Magazine, Cracked Magazine, Cracked Markets. Long gone are the hopes of retaking 8,000, and now only a few $100 separates us from another lower low. This chart is very sick, and we still have a long way to go before this is over. Today's close could be pivotal for Bitcoin's price. From Omkar Godboard, the man from CoinDesk, who owns no Bitcoin. Let's just go straight to the view. Thursday's inside day candle has neutralized the immediate bearish outlook and indicates indecision in the marketplace. Indecision? Oh my! A short-term bull reversal would be confirmed if Bitcoin scales the previous day's high of 6,628. A bear flag breakdown, a drop below 6,240, would strengthen the odds of Bitcoin finding acceptance below 6,183 and falling towards 5,755, the June low, over the next few days. Let's check in live with the price of Bitcoin. 6,454, which is above this 62.40, but not high enough to be this 66.28. Will it rise more today? No one knows. Good guy, Bitcoin developer, helps fix bug in competing coin. That's right. They stole our name. They stole our .com. They stole our @Bitcoin Twitter account. The people of Bitcoin Cash are desperate to steal everything from Bitcoin, and they will stop at nothing, going to lower lows each time, like a broken stock chart. However, the good people of Bitcoin will not stoop to such lows. A Bitcoin core developer, meaning a person who develops code for Bitcoin, rose above the petty quarrels and did a big favor for Bitcoin Cash. In April, Corey Fields discovered what he described as a critical vulnerability in Bitcoin Cash, and he alerted Bitcoin Cash developers, who implemented a fix before a malicious actor could exploit it. When he noticed the suspicious change in the code, it took him less than 10 minutes to find the bug, which was serious enough to cause a chain split, which, if unintentional, can cause huge damage to a cryptocurrency. Dun, dun, dun. Once again, better to be the better person. It's better to be the better person. Tom Lee says Bitcoin isn't broken. Actual events prove him right. Despite the sharp fall in Bitcoin last week, Tom Lee, the CEO of Fundstrat, is still spreading his strong, bullish sentiment. In an interview for CNBC, Mr. Lee commented that Bitcoin still had enough reasons to increase in value, and that, in fact, in the middle of the so-called bearish market, there are signs to show that it is clearly the king of all cryptocurrencies. According to Mr. Lee, even after the overall bearish trend, Bitcoin's dominance increased in proportion, which is a clear indicator of investors' confidence in Bitcoin's strength and its potential as a real and verifiable asset. Indian state loses $3 billion to fraudulent schemes and corruption. $3.2 billion worth of Bitcoin has been lost in India due to corruption and criminal activities, among them tax evasion and an alleged kidnapping. Allegations of corruption involving crooked police officers and politicians, tax evasion, and a kidnapper form the backbone of an investigation into how India's Gujarat state lost more than $3 billion worth of Bitcoin, Bloomberg reports. It all started in February when Shailesh Bhatt, a property developer, accused a group of policemen of kidnapping him and demanding 200 Bitcoins in ransom, or some 1.8 million at the time. Gujarat's Criminal Enforcement Department launched an inquiry that led to startling revelations. The abduction is believed to have been masterminded by Bhatt's uncle, Nalin Kotida, a former lawmaker in Prime Minister Modi's ruling Jharkhand party, while Bhatt's associate Palyada allegedly carried out the kidnapping. However, CID lead investigator also filed charges against Bhatt as the probe progressed. What an interesting story from the India. $3 billion lost. Bitcoin's open secret. Lightning is making better online payments possible. That's right. Lightning is PayPal 2.0. After using the application, one user tweeted, "I bought an exclamation mark." The user noted that the punctuation cost 10 satoshis, worth a fraction of a penny. Very interesting stuff about the Lightning Network. Bitcoin only masquerades as a currency. BIS, research chief. More angry FUD from the Bank of International Settlements, where Song Shin, economic advisor and head of research, told Bloomberg that Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies fall a long way short of being able to sustain a monetary system and really only masquerade as real currencies. To which I say once again, give us time. The world has never switched over to a digital currency like this. This is our first time doing it. And that's right. No one knows what's going to happen. Give it time. Bitcoin trading platform BitMEX hits 1 million Bitcoin in daily volume. Again, $1 million, 1 million Bitcoin, tons more than $1 million, is being traded every day at BitMEX. That's right, $6.6 billion at the current exchange rate is being traded on this Bitcoin market, which means nothing. But this is Bitcoin Talk Show, and we're going to be taking your calls right here. We also wanted to check in, like Corey's been saying in the chat, we are simulcasting today on the World Crypto Network. That's right, you can listen to this show, or you can watch Andy Hoffman and his interview with Ansel Lindner. Check it out right now. Here's a little bit live. Oh, no sound. No sound. Let's see. Volume. The volume's up. Oh, you're still muted. Unmute yourself.
Getting scared, and we're seeing, I think, classic capitulation. As for the Bitcoin, you know, to me, and we'll get to this in a second, the capitulation happened. It happened in February, and it got to $100 billion market cap. And I was talking about it all fall. When we get to 100 billion, it's going to surge because institutions will come in. And I've been saying since then that this is going to be a major support because look, the CBOE started futures. They wanted to have the ETF. You're talking about BlackRock, Goldman Sachs, the Intercontinental Exchange. They're all talking about coming in. This is what I think is going on. You're right. There's a consolidation right at this level where institutions came in. I mean, that's basically what you're saying. Is that right?
Yes, yes. And I do like, I think you point out often about the $100 billion market cap, and I think that is a very significant level. We could ride right above that for another 6 months before we break out. I think another timing is the effect of the last halvening and the effect of the next halvening. I mean, there's a lot of different fundamentals at play, but right now, I think the overriding reason why Bitcoin can't at least sustain, you know, an upward price movement, even just slightly an upward trend, is because of the altcoins weighing it down.
Yeah, and you know, again, you know, altcoins are not going away as much as people want want to believe that as if you are a quote maximalist. But the fact is, we are in a new world where people, as you say, are evaluating projects. And right now, there's very little that's doing anything. We talked about in my article the other day, you say how early it is. It really is extremely early. It's a lot later than it was even at this point, well, a little past this.
Interesting comment there from Ansel. He says that the altcoins are the one dragging down the price of Bitcoin. I wonder what you guys think about that. Do you think that the altcoins are the one dragging down the price of Bitcoin? I'm going to go ahead and open up the phone lines. We don't have a good solution yet to people calling at the same time. So we're going to have to work on that one. But I got one window open here with the phone and one window with the other one. Also, the phone is ringing through to all of my various lines right now. So that's something I have to fix soon because the whole house is racketing and all my devices are ringing. But let's give it a try. I'm going to go and make this go full screen, then find a way out. All these different windows. It's important. You're going to need a few more windows, they say. So I have a few more windows open. Hello, Mustafa. You're live on the air. Where are you at today?
Good morning, Thomas, and good morning, Bitcoin. I am calling you live. I'm not live. From Green Bay, Wisconsin, actually.
Green Bay, the home of the Packers. Very nice.
Sure.
More people from the Midwest. So what's on your mind about Bitcoin this morning, Mustafa?
Oh, you just asked the question of whether or not you think the altcoins are bringing the price down, bringing the Bitcoin price down. And I gotta say, yes, absolutely they are. Because if you look at the quote unquote cryptocurrency market cap as a whole, it's roughly half altcoins and half Bitcoin. And if all that money was invested into Bitcoin, only into Bitcoin, then we could potentially have a like double the price, right? Double the price of a Bitcoin right now, or even more.
But aren't we being a little greedy there, thinking that all that money would just be invested into Bitcoin? Isn't it possible that these altcoins are bringing more money, more excitement to the market with their various marketing? And these people that would buy Ethereum aren't the same people that would buy Bitcoin. So there isn't a loss. It's not a one-to-one. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I do agree with that. But I mean, what I was saying is that if all the new blockchain style innovation that's happening in the space right now would have been done on the Bitcoin blockchain, then everybody that did want to invest in whatever kind of project is happening that's not on Bitcoin but would have been on Bitcoin, they would invest into it. I mean, I obviously understand if Bitcoin was the only thing that was available and it was exactly the way it is today, no privacy, no smart contracts, or no like really good smart contracts or whatever, and all that technology wasn't there, then I don't think the money would be there either. But I'm saying if the technology was there, all the innovation was there on the same platform, and it was just like second, third layer solutions being implemented, then I'm pretty sure the money would come as well.
Yeah, I just feel like it might be a smaller space. I don't really care for the altcoins. I think they've gone up and down, and they'll continue going up and down. But they make this space more interesting, right? We're in a more interesting space because of the altcoins.
It is, yeah, a lot more interesting, and you're right. I think it's a lot of people hear about any other altcoin before they hear about Bitcoin, and most of the time, or they hear about Bitcoin, but they don't get involved with Bitcoin first. They get involved with something else like Ripple or anything else because they think it's cheaper, or they think it's easier to get involved with it, and because all these altcoins have marketing departments, and they're out there trying to get it in front of your face.
Also think about the scams. A lot of people get into Bitcoin because of the scams. There's all kind of people out there that are like, oh, I got into BitConnect, I got into OneCoin, I got into PayCoin, and then I finally wised up and I got into Bitcoin. We need all those people too, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. All those people too. I mean, I was honestly kind of semi one of those people. You know, I was involved in some of those scam coins, thinking that it was legit because I've been involved with like multi-level marketing companies in the past, and they kind of fit that same model. You know, and it's a, you know, it's kind of hard to tell between the what's fake and what's not when it comes to MLM. You know, so you just kind of take a risk and try it and see if it works out or not. You know, which most of the time it doesn't. And so it was pretty crazy actually. You know, last year when all the ICOs were happening, and it was kind of like a very perfect marriage between the scamminess of multi-level marketing and the scamminess of the altcoins all together made like a perfect ecosystem for scams.
And it's funny because there was this Bitcoin scam. It was before my time even, and it was called the Pirate at 40 scam. And the guy basically set up a fund where he said he would buy Bitcoin and he would keep buying them, and you would keep sending him money and he would keep buying them. And eventually everyone would get paid. And of course he ran off with the money. But all he had to do was to hold the Bitcoin and to do what he actually said he was going to do in his original Ponzi scheme plan. And because of the way Bitcoin was growing at the time, he would have been fine. He could have gotten away with it.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. You're right. That's the beauty of Bitcoin itself. Like you see with these I think what was it, Bolivia or Bulgaria, the one that they seized the whole like quite a bit of Bitcoin from some thieves or some, you know, some corrupt something. Somebody got arrested and they took their Bitcoin and they kind of forgot about it. They didn't sell them or anything, and then last year they figured out that the Bitcoin is worth more than the national debt of the country. I think it was Bulgaria.
It was a great story, and they were going to pay off the debt. But then they found out, whoopsie, that they lost all the Bitcoins. And no one knows if they lost them or if they lost them. And what they've said is if they found all of that money, they'd have to pay a percentage of it to the EU. And it's possible that the government themselves are holding it in some kind of vault somewhere, planning for some future post-EU version of Bulgaria, when they can crack that thing open and buy themselves a new palace or something.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So that's a good example of even when you've got bad intentions with something, you know, because this is a good hard money that just holding on to it for a while, you might actually be able to do good at the end, even if you started off with bad intentions, you could end up doing something good for society just by being a part of it.
Ponzi schemers of the past are the leaders of the future. An inspiring statement from Mustafa.
Right, something like that, yeah. But yeah, I mean, and I just wanted to say, you know, as far as the price goes, I know a few days ago, or maybe a couple call-ins ago, I was saying how I'm pretty sure Bitcoin is not going to pass 10,000 by the end of this year. I think we kind of had a little unofficial bet going, and looks like I'm winning. Is all I'm saying. I'm ahead right now.
I'm sure we have lots of time. There's lots of time. But thanks so much, Mustafa, for the call. Give us a call anytime. We want to keep the lines open and keep the calls coming in. So thanks so much.
For sure, man. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And you can call us now on Skype, World Crypto Network, all one word, or at our new phone number. We're trying this out, 518-600-1949. The phone lines are open. You can give us a call right now. Or right now. There's a bit of a delay, so people are still listening to Mustafa's call end. But remember, we do have poems ready if you guys aren't ready to call in. But once again, we're going to look at the news, see what's going on. There is breaking news on CNBC. Roger Stone's former aide held in contempt for refusing to testify before special counsel Robert Mueller's grand jury report. So things are continuing to heat up in the Trump situation with Robert Mueller. Looking at the price of Bitcoin right now, see if we can pull that up on the screen. CoinDesk, where'd you go? Too many tabs, right? Too many tabs. The price of Bitcoin right now is 6,435. We are holding on. We are down 1.57% in the last 24 hours, a change of $102.45. The high was 6,578, and the low was 6,308. We are keeping up with the chat. What is going on, chat? And we might even check in on Andy's show again, do another live look. That sounds like fun. Let's give it a try. We are broadcasting 2 shows at once today. Not ideal, not our choice, but it is kind of fun to have this kind of interaction and to have this kind of multiple shows for you here about cryptocurrency. And it gives me something to watch afterwards. We got a great idea from the show to talk about whether or not altcoins are bringing the price of Bitcoin down. Let's see if we can get another idea like that right now as we check in with Andy Hoffman, already in progress.
It's just a matter of time. And frankly, there's pros and cons of it, but for the most part, I think it's a pro. And I'd rather see it sooner rather than later. And again, we go back to the things that they're considering right now as the first crypto ETF. What do you think the biggest issues, just practically speaking, do you think that the SEC would be worried about in letting it get done?
What you broke up a little bit of the last sentence.
What is the SEC most concerned about? What do they have to resolve in your mind first and foremost before they would let it go?
Well, in their words from the Winklevoss, right, it was the kind of size of the total global market that it wasn't really, it was too shallow, and there was no insurance, right? That was kind of their dual reasoning for denying the Winklevoss. So I think that's still probably at the forefront of their mind for most people. But of course, I always think that there are some people in powerful positions in these agencies that, they have other interests. Maybe they are from a powerful banking family that will be destroyed if they approve a Bitcoin ETF or let Bitcoin grow. So I don't know. I think there's overall, though, I would say as a policy type thing, it would be insurance maybe at this point, because the market has matured a lot. So maybe like custody and insurance and security, those type of issues would be forefront on their mind. I did want to make a point about what you said there just before, that it's interesting to me that we don't hear a lot, like, in 2014, 15, we heard from a lot of the Bitcoin skeptics that, the US government could just ban Bitcoin tomorrow, right? And we don't hear that anymore. At least I haven't heard it from anybody significant in a while. And that's, to me, that's kind of an interesting narrative shift. And we also, that plays into the ETF thing, like Stockholm, right? The Stockholm NASDAQ has an ETF. It's not fully backed by Bitcoin, but it is a Bitcoin ETF. And there's other products coming to Japan. There's all sorts of things. And so this regulatory arbitrage environment, and the fact that nobody's saying anymore that, the US can just ban Bitcoin and kill it overnight. Like, we don't, there.
What do you guys think about what Ansel's saying here? No one's saying anymore that you can just ban Bitcoin overnight. Are we out of the woods? Has Bitcoin become such an established product that we can't say anymore, you can just ban it, you can just get rid of it, it's just a flash in the pan, don't worry about that Bitcoin thing, it'll blow over, right? It's no problem. It's an interesting point. He also made another point saying that he thinks it may be conspiratorial reasons that they're not allowing the Bitcoin ETF. Maybe they have a stake in some of these other companies and they would lose money if the Bitcoin ETF was approved, or maybe even lose control, right? Because it's really about control. You can control money if you can print it. What's his name? Rothschild said once, I care not who makes the country's laws as long as I get to print the money. It's a good deal for him, not for anyone else. But go ahead and give us a call right now on Skype, World Crypto Network, all one word, and tell me what you think. Do you think Ansel's right that it's all a conspiracy. The ETF is not being approved. Or will the Bitcoin ETF be approved? Will it be approved at the end of September? Will it be approved in February of next year? Or will it take much, much longer? Is the world ready for Bitcoin and a Bitcoin ETF? Let me know right now on Skype, World Crypto Network, all one word, or at 518-600-1949. We're checking in with the chat. Say, I'm 5 minutes early. Not cool, man. Surprise. People love the intro. They thought it was good. Tone says the price will go down to 5,000. But didn't he say that last month? Didn't he say that 2 months ago? I mean, what's the thing with Chicken Little? The sky is falling. The sky is falling. How many times does that have to be wrong before you give that up? And again, it changes each day. You can't listen to what I said last week and think it's going to predict what's going to happen next week. You have to listen to what I said in the last 10 minutes. I change my mind a lot. It says 5,000 when? That's the question, isn't it? Let's see. It sounds iffy. These analysts have no patience. They can't seem to look beyond their noses. They put out content for clicks. That's right. These newspaper articles aren't waiting for Bitcoin. They're not giving Bitcoin a chance, not giving it any time at all. They're judging it against 100-year-old currencies, saying Bitcoin's not as good as the dollar. Well, it's only been 10 years. It's only been 5-10 years. Give us a chance. Give us a chance. Corey Hughes is impressed that the World Crypto Network is broadcasting 2 live shows simultaneously, a feat never done before in the history of crypto YouTube. That's right. He didn't know it was possible, but we did, right here on the World Crypto Network, where we can broadcast this call-in show, even as we broadcast Andy's interview. It's amazing. And once again, you actually have to listen to Andy. Andy talks about his nonsense Bitcoin rhodium on Twitter, but he also talks about Bitcoin. And Andy knows about Bitcoin. He's got experience in gold, metals, and stocks. You should listen to him. He knows about Bitcoin. You just can't figure out that Bitcoin rhodium's no good. But give him a chance. He's going to figure that out. It's a slow process. We have to let it come out. It has to die there on the page. He has to wonder and poke it with a stick. Why is it dying there? Why is it not doing anything? And then after it passes away, he has to say, well, I guess I made a whoopsie on that. And we say, yeah, that's cool. Everybody falls in love with an altcoin. That was just yours. We don't know why you fell in love with it. It was some kind of perfect gold bug virus that lined up perfectly that it was going to be more valuable than Bitcoin Gold, more valuable than Bitcoin. Bitcoin dragging down the alts. Tim thinks it's the other way around. The alts are dragging down Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin's dragging down the alts, is what he says. Chester Copperpot says that he listened to his king and bought Turkish Lira with his Bitcoin. That's right. They did say in Turkey that they want you to buy the Lira, that they want you to cash out your bank accounts, cash out your stock and bonds, and try to save their currency, which you know isn't going to happen. So it's dangerous, dangerous talk to follow. But again, you must follow and listen to the king because he's the king. As Monty Python said, how do you know he's the king? Because he ain't got shit on him. IBLB says Bitcoin to 4K if it kills some shit coins like Neo. Not so sure. Cracked Bag teleports into the chat. Psst, nothing personnel. Kids, first. He must have problems with his personnel. More hiring and firing for Cracked Bagged. And more innovative. Tim, why are altcoiners selling their coins when Bitcoin goes down? That's the question you need to ask yourself. Because nobody believes in anything and everybody just wants short-term profits. Short-term profits for everybody. Because of bots, Tim says. Russian bots. If you have no answer, blame the bots. A very Orwellian statement. So every alt sold because of bots. So why do you still hold alts? Because bots buy them too, right? Dun, dun, dun. And BitMEX, testnet, trade for giggles. Learn to short and long. That sounds fun. And yes, you can call us now on Skype, World Crypto Network, all one word, or on 518-600-1949. IBLB says, Max, start a stream and watch Thomas watching Andy. Triple the likes and shares. And that's right. Who needs to make programs anymore when we can make programs commenting on the programs and programs commenting on the programs that comment on the programs? Chris Lloyd says that Bitcoin has died 306 times. How many times more before the price flips? Zamora says 67 more times. 373 deaths. Then the moon. Testnet Bitcoins are worth more than B-Rhodium. Ooh, mean. Jeroen says he sold all of his alts for a big loss today. Sorry to hear that, man. It's a bummer, but if you need the money, you need the money. And remember, investing is also gambling. So sometimes things that are down come back up, and sometimes they just go down further. This guy says he'd rather own testnet Bitcoin than Bcash. And people are saying now that Bitcoin Core, that new up-and-coming coin that somehow has a value of $1.60, is going to be the new Bitcoin testnet. And they're very excited for Bitcoin Core, the new product from nobody. So we've also got a tweet and a reminder here that today at 1 o'clock West Coast time, the Bitcoin Group, episode number 184, focusing on Starbucks, the Bitcoin ETF, existential crisis, and Venezuela, will feature Gabriel D. Vine and Joshua from Vaultoro, maybe even Max Hillebrand. We can't wait. And they're talking about the meaning of life, which is, of course, 42, the double of 21, or what is 6 times 7? How many roads must a man walk down? And we are waiting for your call right here on Bitcoin Talk Show, but we did prepare. We are ready with America by Allen Ginsberg. America, I've given you all, and now I'm nothing. America, $2.27, January 17th, 1956. I can't stand my own mind. America, when will we end the human war? Go fuck yourself with your atom bomb. I don't feel good. Don't bother me. I won't write my poem till I'm in the right mind. America, when will you be angelic? America, when will you take off your clothes? When will you look at yourself through the grave? When will you be worthy of your million Trotskyites? America, why are your libraries full of tears? And there it is, we got a phone call. Hello, caller, you're live on the World Crypto Network. What's your name and where are you calling from? I really thought it was going to work. It says in voice call. I thought that means in voice call. I think the whole computer froze. That's interesting. That's what we get for adding new features. Okay, I'm going to try to reconnect to that computer and figure this out. Let's see what's going on. I wonder if the computer crashed. No, that can't be. Let's see. Here we are in voice call. Says in voice call. Connected. Can move that around. I'm just pushing it to do a lot of stuff. I'm asking too much of this computer, and it's not working. Chrome has crashed. Let me see. Yeah, it looks like remote desktop froze again. So that's a 0 for 2. So again, the more things we add to this show, the more it falls apart. So there we go. I got to close the browser window. There it is. Chrome has stopped responding on the other computer. So there we go. We're going to restart Chrome, and we're going to get this going. Let's see. Do you want to restore the windows? That's always a risk. Let's give it a try. This page didn't shut down properly. Tell me about it. I have read and I agree to the rules. Okay. There it is. We've got that connection back. All right. We can see the poem again. Excellent. And this window seems to be good.
Hit last night. That frankly is much more Bitcoin bullish.
There's Andy. All right. So there's the Andy windows back. Let's give it one more try. Caller, go ahead. Blow us up. Call us now on 518-600-1949. We are back in control of the remote desktop computer. If it's going to crash, let's do it again. You can also call us on Skype at World Crypto Network. But we are kind of testing the phone lines right now. So give us another call. This is my old computer that I'm controlling by remote desktop. I also have the option to buy a fancy server on the internet and to pay a monthly fee. So I'm looking into that as a way to both improve this and to take this show on the road. But once again, once you start renting somebody's server, you're just going to pay more money eventually. So this was really working out for us. We had a caller. So go ahead and give us another call back, and we'll give this another try. America, why are your libraries full of tears? America, when will you send eggs to India? I'm sick of your insane demands. When can I go into the supermarket and buy what I need with my good looks? America, after all, it is you and I who are perfect, not the next world. Your machinery is too much for me. You made me want to be a saint. There must be some other way to settle this argument. There we go. Hello, caller. You're live on the World Crypto Network. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, Thomas. My name is Adrian. I'm calling from Jonesboro, Georgia, just south of Atlanta.
All right, Adrian, how's it going? What's on your mind today in Bitcoin?
Well, today what's on my mind is, well, before I say that, man, I want to say thanks for what, you've been doing for a while, because last year when I was working, y'all having podcasts out that I could download and listen to while I worked outside was amazing. You and the World Crypto Network and the people you've had on. It's been great. It's been great. But, today, what I was wanting to talk about was, the whole idea of trading versus holding Bitcoin. A long time ago when I was younger, not that long, I guess, I bought Bitcoin, but I used it as a transactional currency. And, I didn't really think too much back then. I never thought that it could go up in value. So I didn't really, get back to the, I need Bitcoin thing until, I don't know, last year sometime, about May last year. And, with the whole trading aspect of it, I'm a noob. Like I'm a complete idiot with that stuff. I've never done anything like that. But last year, I did the shit coins and a bunch of other stuff along with the Bitcoin. And when I looked at it in the at the end of the year, and yes, I paid my taxes on what I made, but when I looked at it, I was actually down Bitcoin from it, but I was still up in US dollars. And with the price of it going down, it's kind of like changed my whole way of looking at it again, more like the way I looked at it when I used it as a transactional currency the first time, where it was something that would allow me to, to basically do things that I couldn't do otherwise, be uncensored. But now, looking at it with the price going down, I mean, I'm pretty sure I kept buying last year, from just below 2,000, I think all the way up to 17, but I was dollar cost averaging each week. And, it's really cool for folks to use it for an investment, but it seems to me like nobody should really be investing in Bitcoin. I don't know. I can't hear you. If you can hear me still.
Sure. No, I'm here. Why do you think no one should be investing in Bitcoin? Because the price is going down, or you're not sure about the future?
Neither. I don't think people should be investing in Bitcoin. Not because of those things, but because the majority of people that are investing in Bitcoin and in cryptocurrencies, especially the folks that I've experienced in my personal life, were only doing it for money. Heck, I did that last year. Now I got lucky. I got very lucky, but you know, and the idea of investing in Bitcoin, it just I think it's the wrong approach. I think it's the wrong approach. Instead of investing in Bitcoin, you know, it's probably better to invest in the idea of Bitcoin, like what it represents. Invest in the idea of freedom, because you know, like I got really scared. You know, like when I saw it tank, I pretty much let go of, you know, what I had around 10K. And you know, I've done very well, I guess, with the Bitcoin investment thing. But most folks out there, we're not traders, and we might like to think that we are, but in reality, we're not. It's not like a tool for investment or for trading. It's not really a good tool for most people to trade with. I guess it could be an investment long term if somebody's dollar cost averaging. But I think that, you know, while the price is down, I do think people should buy it, but I don't think they should do it to make money. I think they should do it to support a system that gives us real freedom, with our finances, because almost everything in the world is controlled by money now. Almost everything. I mean, $200 billion stashed away couldn't save Muammar Gaddafi, but that's a unique situation, right? Really, I'm not even sure what I'm saying, man. I've just been wanting to call in since the first time you did this when I was in the car.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, just the idea of trying to put your money into Bitcoin just so your money will grow seems like a bad idea. Putting your money into Bitcoin because you believe in the immutability of a blockchain and the freedom to choose what you do and what happens to your own money. You know, that I think is why people should buy Bitcoin. But to buy it as an investment for US dollars, which it is not a bad thing to do. It's not a bad thing, but I don't think it's the right thing for most people.
Well, I think what you're trying to say is that Bitcoin's much more valuable to us as a non-government currency, as an online tool that we can send in one direction and never have it canceled, than it is as a speculative investment. But that's hard to pitch these days, right? Because all the new people are like speculation, and they got into Ethereum first, and then they got into 20 other altcoins and ICOs and all these things, and everyone's been up and down. But I think you're calling for kind of a return to the basics and just a return of actually using Bitcoin, right? Like just kind of sending it around, learning how to have a paper wallet and a Trezor and a ledger. That's more valuable than just blindly buying something and then forgetting it like it's a stock, right?
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, if anybody listening, wonders why it's good to have a fixed supply, or a fixed, I guess we could call it an inflation rate, but I guess it's a generation rate with a fixed supply. There's a website, what is it? I think it's US Debt Calculator, I believe, .org. And it'll show you in real time how much money is being printed. And we have no control over that. We have no control over the supply. We have no control over really, what happens to our money. I mean, at any point in time, a bank can say, no, you cannot access your money. The government has said you're not allowed to. And I know right now things are great. I mean, most people I know have good jobs. We're fairly comfortable. We work our butts off, but we're fairly comfortable. But if you look at history, governments, once they have power, they incrementally grab more power and more power. And you can see that regardless of what side of the political spectrum you're on, from the founding of the country until now. And it's only a matter of time until they truly exercise their power over our money. And they're doing it right now. I mean, they absolutely are. Between, you know, inflation and taxation. I think it was Milton Friedman that said that we only keep about 60%, or no, we only keep about 40% of everything that we work for, when you include all taxes, not just the ones that come out of your check, but, you know, just the ones that you'll pay at the store, but, you know, your tag, taxes on your utilities, taxes on everything. When you add it all up, the government's getting the majority of what, you know, we work for. But that's okay right now because we're so prosperous. But with the whole world becoming connected, because I've noticed since I was a kid, I'm 32 years old. When I was 8 years old and I got a computer with a 28.8 dial-up modem, it changed my life. I was able to connect with people all over the world. And I saw a little bit of what the world was like before that, and I've seen the shift. And regardless of what country anybody's in the world, with things like Bitcoin out there, it's going to be a much more level playing field, you know, within my lifetime. And if I have kids, within their lifetime. Now, if you're 70, it probably doesn't matter. But you know, something like Bitcoin will allow people to actually own something that is their own. And, you know, if it gets hacked one day, I guess we're all screwed. But there's a pretty big honeypot out there, you know, tempting hackers that's not been touched. So I don't know exactly what I'm trying to say, man, but I do love your show. I think the first thing I heard was you, Tone, and Jimmy, and one other person. And it was like a 2-hour discussion last year. And it was pretty damn cool, man. It was pretty damn cool. But I appreciate your show. Sorry for rambling.
Oh, no worries. Thanks so much for the call. I appreciated what you said about leveling and about that. Certainly we pay a lot of taxes here in the US, but we get a lot of stability in exchange for our taxes. And sure, there are lots of things that people don't like that are being done with their taxes, and you don't like this and I don't like that and so forth. But at its core, things in the United States are relatively safe and relatively stable. And unfortunately, I'm not sure if it's going to maintain that. As you're saying, there is kind of a leveling where everyone else in the world, it's almost like the Cold War. In the Cold War, we gave the Russians television. And the Russians were like, oh, we're so happy, thank you for television. But we also gave them programming for the television. And the programming psychologically affected the Russian people. They wanted the American prosperity that they were seeing on television, even if it was fake prosperity. They wanted the Yankee blue jeans. They wanted the McDonald's and the Coca-Cola, right? Our marketing, our branding got into their heads and messed them up. And it you know, messed up the priorities of their system. Plus, their system was horribly corrupt and so on and so forth. But the propaganda was a major part of that. And I think one of the things that you're saying is that everyone can see now the prosperity of America. Everyone can see now the poverty of India. We can jump right into any of those places, or the good parts of India. There's different parts, but we can jump into those places. We can communicate together. We have this internet. We have all this thing, and that the other people are going to want it as good as we have it. And that's great, and everyone should improve themselves. But there's also kind of a zero-sum game there where maybe America has to go down a little bit for everyone else to go up. And the people that are in the boat called America probably aren't going to like that. So I think it's going to be a lot of turmoil and a lot of questions as we figure out what the new world should look like. But I think Bitcoin has a big place in it. Bitcoin's kind of like a superpower. I think I agree with you. You have to learn how to use it. You have to learn how to move it around. And in the future, that might be even more valuable than having a whole bunch of it. That ability to understand it, that ability to have a wallet and move it around. That's the real trick in this.
You know, I think you're absolutely right with that. Although I will say, and by the way, you're definitely right about how it is in America right now. It's great. You know, I don't have to worry about a tribe coming in, burning my house down and taking all my stuff.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But you know, a lot of the world. I've done a little bit of traveling, not a whole lot, but a lot of the world, they don't necessarily want what it is, the type of lifestyle that's lived in America. And, you know, technology is getting cheaper and cheaper. And, you know, right now it's very useful to be able, you know, to open up a core wallet, run your command, know the commands, and know what you're doing. Have a paper wallet, or if you can get a safe one now, or a ledger. Something like that. But eventually, with the way that technology is going, those aren't going to be barriers. The difficulty of use is not going to be a barrier, because in 5 years, or in 10 years, maybe in 15 years, there's going to be so many solutions for people, so that it's literally going to be as easy as them downloading an app, and they don't really have to know a lot. They just know that this is where their currency is, and they have a thing they have to memorize in their own language, to access their funds. And there's so many people in the world still today that don't have running water. The people that are walking miles to get water, for drinking and to wash clothes, a lot of those people have cell phones. Now they have cell phones, because it's so cheap. So you give it more time, those people aren't going to want, a 5-bedroom house with a 2-car garage. They're going to want a well-maintained hut and food for their family, and, to educate their children. And that's going to be it. And when those people are truly connected, and they have access to banking, which is really what, it almost hurts to say it nowadays, but why I used to like Roger Ver so much, was that he would, advocate that sort of thing. Now it's a different story, but that's neither here nor there. But those people, Bitcoin will allow those people to join in the system, because they still really have no access to banking. They still barter. And, like especially countries like Africa, when, the idea of democracy was brought to these tribal people, they weren't quite ready for it. And they didn't have all the tools like banking that they needed to do it successfully. But with technology and the interconnectedness of the world, they will have those tools. And to them, I mean, considering that some of those folks, live off of less than, 20 cents a day, if they can get $1 or $2 a day through Bitcoin, their wealth has gone up exponentially. They now can provide food for their family. They now can educate their children. And it will be slow. It's not like it's going to happen this year or next year. It may take a decade or more, but it is going to happen, assuming that, like, we don't blow ourselves up with some new form of energy, But if the world survives, no comets hit us, this is going to happen, and there's nothing that we can do about it, except for prepare. And the earlier you prepare for change, the better off you are when that change happens. So I don't know. The idea to me of just investing in it for money, not a great idea. Not a great idea. Investing in it because of what it can provide to humanity. I will say, doing that, it'll make it a hell of a lot easier to hold your coins, or fractions of a coin, whatever, somebody buys, and not worry about the price. That's because long term, this will be a level playing field. And the thing is, even if Bitcoin goes away, even if for some reason, which I don't think, it's unlikely, but it's still possible, even if it goes away, what the scenario I just said of the interconnectedness and people being able to hold their own value of their labor and their effort is still going to apply. And it's going to apply in one way or another. So I think folks that are in it not just to make money are going to have a supreme advantage over those that are here just to make money. Because the folks that are here just to make money are the ones that are losing all their damn money. They're the ones that made the price go up to ridiculous amounts and crash back down. That fear, that hype. I mean, like, it just, trading markets is not for most people, man. Most people are good at investing.
I definitely agree with you that the people that are just in it for money are missing the big picture. They're just not seeing all of it. They kind of have blinders on, right? They could see the 10% profit, the 20% down, the 20% all up, all this stuff, but they don't see the bigger picture. And it really is what you're talking about. It's about people in other countries, and people in the chat are saying Africa is not a country, but it is a continent, and it's a place we can talk about that needs our help. And
I'm from Georgia, so please cut me some slack, chat, please.
That's what I'm saying. Come on, chat. We're just having a discussion here, but there's a lot of this worried about words thing going on. But still, I agree with what you're saying. I was listening to Joe Rogan and Henry Rollins this morning, and Henry Rollins was talking about places like you were saying where a daily thing they have to do is go get water. And he kind of told a joke. He was kind of, he's kidding, but he wasn't kidding. Sometimes they get attacked by monkeys, and the monkeys take the water. Because as a monkey, it's way easier to steal water from a human than to get it yourself from the pond. And that these basic ideas, having food, shelter, water, not everybody has this. And I know we're going to get a whole bunch of socialist calls and a bunch of angry stuff, but what if instead of spending all this money on military and all this influence, that we just spent enough for everyone to have a basic level, a little bit of shelter, a little bit of food, and a little bit of safety everywhere in the world, not just in America. And that, yes, we'd have to reduce the quality of life in America to bring up the quality of life in the rest of the world. But maybe if we did this voluntarily and in an organized fashion, it might turn out better than what's going to happen anyway when this happens in an unorganized fashion. But I also agree with you with the idea of thinking about what India did, how they skipped over desktop PCs, and they never really had phone lines, and they never really had modems, and they never really had all those steps that we went through. They went right to laptops, they went right to cell phones. And like you're saying, these people in underdeveloped, developing countries, they have cell phones. They can use Bitcoin. They're almost there. And that, like you're saying, if we could distribute $1 to everyone every day with no bureaucracy, with no human influence, with no extra cost on the system, just the simple cost of giving out the dollars, setting up the system and the organization and so forth, and just kicking it off like a prime mover starting a universe or kicking off some dominoes, it would be an incredibly valuable program, and it would have the potential to help them and to bring up the entire world standard of living, which I just believe, selfishly from a GDP perspective, the more people that are clothed and fed, the more they can work, the more they can think, the more we can get productivity out of people, the better the world gets. So I want to raise all boats. And if Bitcoin can help do that, I think it's great, and that the technology is there. And yeah, it's much more than just a speculative investment. And I think you make a good point on that.
I'm going to say one more thing, and then I'll get off your line here. But I listened to that podcast last night, and I never listened to Black Flag or anything, but Henry Rollins' energy last night had me up after working 14 hours yesterday with a 2-hour round trip commute. And I was up till 2 something in the morning. And when I woke up at my usual time this morning after just a couple hours sleep, I thought about his attitude and what he was doing with his life. And I got my ass out of bed, I got my ass out of bed. It was really cool. But you're right. Now, I want to say one more thing, then I'll shut up. When it comes to political systems and political ideology, I don't think anybody right now can say what the better option is. I think people 200 to 500 years from now will be able to say what the best option is. But, the biggest problem we face is corruption within every system. And even, some of the first world countries like America has that issue. I mean, sure, we spend a lot of money on war, but that's only our 3rd largest budget item per the US debtclock.org. It's Medicare and Social Security. And, just within this country, if those 2 things were completely done away with, and then that same money kept coming into one pot federally, then, everybody here would have safety still, because Medicare and Medicaid do not affect your safety. And that one pot could literally give basic health care and life-saving health care to everybody. You might have to wait a while, to get whatever it is service that you want. And you might not, get everything you want exactly when you want it, but it would actually be better than the system. And I was completely against that up until last year, when there was a Dan Carlin's Common Sense podcast where a guy was talking about it, or he was reading about a guy talking about it. But the thing is, all this stuff won't matter eventually, because once the world really sees the value in decentralizing something as fundamental as currency, governments will become decentralized. Pretty much most things that would benefit humanity as a whole will become decentralized. And it may be after, a lot of tyranny and oppression by whatever powers are, in control of the world for a period of time. But ultimately, it will turn out like that. At least in my mind, it has to. And it may be thousands of years. But, the nobody really makes any money type situation and everybody contributes, like in Star Trek, The Next Generation, like that's possible. That is. But anyway, man, look, I appreciate all that you do. I don't really like the haircut you got going on. I miss the hat. But you're awesome. Keep it up, man. Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks so much for the call, and give us a call anytime. Definitely agree with you on Henry Rollins. He's incredible. Also, like yourself, I'm just not that into Black Flag or heavy metal or anything like that, but I find him to be fantastic. I used to watch his TV show back in the day. He used to kind of rant and get fired up. We both didn't like the Bush administration and the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan and these kind of things. And Henry Rollins was one of the loud voices speaking out against those wars. So always been a fan of his spoken word. And I agree with you on universal health care. Not a surprise. I'm a pretty liberal guy. But I'm glad you're able to come around to it. Basically, for me, it's just helping these people helps everyone. And it's counterintuitive and it's going to cost us some money and all those things. But if we can bring up the level of everyone in America, if we can bring up the level of everyone in the world, I think we're all going to benefit. We're going to have a better world. But we'll wait for the other callers and the chat to call me socialist and all that. But thanks so much for the call. Was it Adrian from Jonesboro?
Yeah, Jonesboro, Georgia.
All right, I got your name right now.
But that's a lie.
All right. Thanks so much, and give us a call anytime. Thank you so much.
All right, man. Thanks, man.
All right. And you can give us a call now on Skype, World Crypto Network, all one word, or on our new phone line at 518-600-1949. And you can even call us with a Gmail account, like they were saying yesterday. If you're out of the country, you don't have Skype, you don't want to use Skype or whatever, you could get a Gmail account. You can call people in America just using Gmail. It's pretty cool. But yeah, they're calling me socialist in the chat. But some people are agreeing with me. They're saying preventive medicine is cheaper than fixing ill people. And that's basically what I'm saying. That just it's strange to say, but we are all interconnected with the butterfly flapping its wings and all that. If somebody gets sick and they can't go to work and their job is to make the donuts, and I go to the donut shop and there's no donuts, and then there's no donuts at my office, and just all of these things go wrong if someone breaks down in the chain. And I would rather have everyone healthy in the chain, everyone doing well, raise up everybody, and especially with these new robot workers we have coming in. These robot workers are going to change a lot of things. We're going to have a lot more people with nothing to do. And let me tell you, we're better off if they have something to do. I always talk about this Vonnegut book, Player Piano. It was his first book. He was working at General Electric. He got a little taste of what it was like to be an engineer. And he started thinking about engineering our future. And at least judging by the book, all Vonnegut could think about was robots. And he thought, what were we going to do when the robots do all the jobs? And he came up with a pretty simple solution. He would pay people to stay at home and watch TV. As long as you stayed at home and watched TV and don't go out and smash the robots, everything goes smoothly. I think you could do the same thing right now. You just replace TV with virtual reality. That's right. Live your life in virtual reality. Please don't disturb the robots. Everything will get better for everyone. But that's just one idea of the future, and we talk a lot about the future here and science fiction and technology because that's what Bitcoin is. Bitcoin's the future, and a lot of people could see it early on, and it blows your mind. They talk about, Andreas talks about going down the rabbit hole. Other people totally agree. They're like, I learned about it, and I challenged it, and I challenged it, and I said I was going to copy it, and I said I was going to break it, and I was going to figure out how to do this. And at every point, I was turned away. And Bitcoin just got better and better in my mind. And I kept trying to defeat it, right? I kept trying to find its flaws, but I couldn't find its flaws. People had fixed its flaws. Other people had thought like me, and they'd come in and they'd poked it and they'd prodded it. Maybe it took upgrades or it took changes. Things had to happen in Bitcoin to make it better, but it's just hard to break. It just bends. It just keeps coming back. So Bitcoin is the thing. I'm going to go through and read the chat a little bit more. But remember, I do always have a poem ready. So we will go back to poetry if there are no calls. I did see what felt like a rush of viewers enter the room. So welcome to all the new viewers. Be sure to give us a thumbs up down below. If we can get 100 thumbs up on this episode, YouTube will share it with other people. If we don't get 100 thumbs up, YouTube will let it die on the vine, and it'll go into the never-ending archive of YouTube. But we're checking out the chat. Audio Video Tweaker says it's the World Socialist Network. Robble. Wouter says stealing is stealing. Joint Specialist seems to agree, saying that we are all on one big spaceship. And Chester Copperpot says most people don't even understand socialism, fascism, or capitalism. It's a joke. And it is kind of a joke. It's funny that people don't understand it. They say someone made a health website that they first tested and have been testing for over 4 years. He now feels better than he has in his life, and he's going to start promoting his other site too. That sounds great. Remember, if you find something that works for you, you can write it down and you can share it with other people. You can share that value. They don't have to go through that hard learning process that you had to learn because you can help them skip that. And sure, things aren't always the same for all the people. Things work differently. But what can you do? Time for some more water. I don't know whether I'm sick and I'm losing my voice or whether I'm just constantly burning out talking on this show, but it's fun either way. IBLB says that Bitcoin woke him up. Thank you, Bitcoin. And he says, thank you, Bitcoin. But yeah, he agrees. It's great to have Bitcoin. Let's see. BL Dwyan says, learn to cook. Become a proper foodie. And that does sound like a great idea. It's good to learn how to cook and how to take care of yourself. We have to eat every day, so it'd be better if you eat right. Henry Rollins was talking about his eating schedule and the things he eats. It sounds pretty good. It sounds like he didn't eat a lot. Like he ate a salad and some chicken. He ate a handful of peanuts, and that was it. So, pretty good. People are asking how I got a 518 number. Well, I chose it on Google Voice, and they used to let you really search for numbers and really tie it down. You could even do a thing. I used to have a phone number, I think it was like 500-4WCN, and it was pretty cool. You could search by all that. But they took it away or it expired or something, so I went to get a new number, and you couldn't search as much. But I could search a little bit, and I found this second part 600. I thought that was easy to type, and then they had a bunch of years, so I got to choose, and I got 1949. So I chose it because of how the number sounded, not about wherever 518 is. I think it's in upstate New York, but it is 10:17 a.m. right here on the World Crypto Network, and you can call us now on Skype at World Crypto Network, all one word, or at 518-600-1949. If there are no calls, we're reading more poems, at least till the end of this America poem, which I assure you is much shorter than Howl. You don't want me to start Howl. I don't want to start Howl. Even I would only read part of Howl. America, after all, it is you and I who are perfect, not the next world. Your machinery is too much for me. You made me want to be a saint. There must be some other way to settle this argument. Burroughs is in Tangiers, and I don't think he'll come back. It's sinister. Are you being sinister? Or is this some form of practical joke? I'm trying to come to the point. I refuse to give up my obsession. America, stop pushing. I know what I'm doing. America, the plum blossoms are falling. I haven't read the newspapers for months. Every day somebody goes on trial for murder. America, I feel sentimental about the Wobblies. America, I used to be a communist when I was a kid, and I'm not sorry. I smoke marijuana every chance I get. I sit in my house for days on end and stare at the roses in the closet. When I go to Chinatown, I get drunk and never get laid. My mind is made up. There's going to be trouble. You should have seen me reading Marx. My psychoanalyst thinks I'm perfectly right. I won't say the Lord's Prayer. I have mystical visions and cosmic vibrations. America, I still haven't told you what you did to Uncle Max after he came over from Russia. I'm addressing you. Are you going to let your emotional life be run by Time magazine? I'm obsessed by Time magazine. I read it every week. Its cover stares at me every time I slink past the corner candy store. I read it in the basement of the Berkeley Public Library. It's always telling me about responsibility. Businessmen are serious. Movie producers are serious. Everybody's serious, but me. It occurs that I am America. I am talking to myself again. Asia is rising against me. I haven't got a Chinaman's chance. I'd better consider my national resources. My national resources consist of 2 joints of marijuana, millions of genitals, and unpublishable private literature that jet planes 1,400 miles an hour, and 25,000 mental institutions. I say nothing about my prisons, nor the millions of underprivileged who live in my flower pots under the light of 500 suns. I have abolished the whorehouses of France. Tangiers is the next to go. My ambition is to be president, despite the fact that I'm a Catholic. America, how can I write a holy litany in your silly mood? I will continue like Henry Ford. My strophes are as individual as his automobiles. More so, they're all different sexes. America, I will sell you strophes, $2,500 a piece, $500 down on your old strophe. America, free Tom Mooney. America, save the Spanish loyalists. America, Sacco and Vanzetti must not die. America, I am the Scottsboro Boys. America, when I was 7, Mama took me to communist cell meetings. They sold us garbanzos at a handful per ticket. A ticket cost a nickel and the speeches were free. Everybody was angelic and sentimental about the workers. It was all so sincere. You have no idea what a good thing the party was in 1835. Scott Nearing was a grand old man, a real mensch. Mother Bloor, the silk stringers, Ewig Welshby made me cry. I once saw the Yiddish orator, Israel Amateur Plain. Everybody must have been a spy. America, I really don't want you to go to war. America, it's them bad Russians. Them Russians, and them Chinamen, and them Russians. The Russia wants to eat us alive. The Russia's power mad. She wants to take our cars from our garages. Her wants to grab Chicago. Her needs a red Reader's Digest. Her wants our auto plants in Siberia. Him big bureaucracy running our filling stations. That no good. Ugh. Him make Indians learn read. Him need big black N-words. Ha. Her make us work all 16 hours a day. Help. America, this is quite serious. America, this is the impression I get from looking in the television set. America, is this correct? I better get right down to the job. It's true I don't want to join the army or turn lathes in precision parts factories. I'm nearsighted and psychopathic anyway. America, I'm putting my queer shoulder to the wheel. Allen Ginsberg, the poem America, written in Berkeley, January 17th, 1956. And apologize to any bad words that I used in that poem. I tried not to use some of them, but in general, I like to read the poem as it's written. These words were written by Allen Ginsberg. Thanks so much for listening. I know you guys don't like poems, but this is a really interesting poem. I think there's a lot of really good lines. Looking backwards, this one here, America, this is the impression I get from looking in the television set. This is a great line because it shows how Ginsberg is looking at the world through TV, through Time magazine, through a filter, and he's trying to understand the filter. I also like that he says looking in the television set, not looking at the television set. He's looking in it. It's like Alice in Wonderland through the looking glass. He's in the looking glass. He's a part of it. But we're going to go ahead and go to the end of the show here, unless you guys want to call. We still have 101 live viewers checking in on Bitcoin Talk Show, where you can call us now on Skype, World Crypto Network, or at 518-600-1949. I will do a quick recap of the Bitcoin news. Let's give this sucker a spin. But enough of that. Altcoins are down a little bit. They're still not being used. Their blockchains are still not that popular. You can support this show. Our Tallycoin fundraiser is going up, but also going down at the same time. Who knew they were Klingons? We live in a Philip K. Dick world, not a Douglas Adams world. You pronounce hodl as hodl, not huddle or hodl or jiffle. Blockstream's got a new way to improve privacy on Bitcoin using pay to endpoint. Check that out at blockstream.com. The game over, says Wall Street analyst. Bitcoin must not breach year-to-date support. Could Bitcoin fall to $4,000 in the coming weeks? Maybe. And Bitcoin is still a total disaster. Bitcoin looks very sick and the pain is not over, says analyst. Today's close could be pivotal for Bitcoin's price. It's important that Bitcoin closes above 66.28 for a short-term bull reversal, or at the very least maintains value above 6,240. Very exciting day. The Bitcoin price is $6,377, down 2.5% in the last 24 hours. Good guy Bitcoin developer helps fix bug in competing coin. That's right. For all the horrible things that Bitcoin Cash has done to Bitcoin, including stealing the name, calling themselves Satoshi's original and true vision, and even naming conferences after that. Still, a Bitcoin developer went out of his way to fix a bug in Bitcoin Cash, which could have cost them millions of dollars. Good guy Bitcoin. Still, bad guy Bitcoin Cash. Tom Lee says Bitcoin isn't broken. Actual events prove him right. Indian state loses $3 billion in Bitcoin to fraudulent schemes and corruption. That's a lot of Bitcoin. Bitcoin's open secret. Lightning is making better online payments possible. True. Bitcoin only masquerades as a currency, says BIS research chief. Masquerade. I remember that song. Phantom of the Opera. Bitcoin trading platform BitMEX hits 1 million Bitcoin in daily volume. Again. Sounds really unpopular to me. It's not going to take off at all. And we took your calls today on World Crypto Network. I think we had a little less calls because we kind of split the audience up. Some people are watching Andy and Ansel. Some are watching here on Bitcoin Talk Show. But it's been great hanging out with you guys for this hour and a half. I'm not going to read how. My voice already feels thin. But we are coming back at 1 o'clock Pacific time later in the day. Just about 2 or 3 hours. 2 or 3 hours from now with the Bitcoin group. So be sure to subscribe down below. Give us a thumbs up. And thanks so much for watching the World Crypto Network. Until next time, bye-bye.